Hello, everyone. I'm Kamau from São Paulo, Brazil. I'm a lover of the music. I'm a listener first. I'm a enthusiast, a student, a producer, and MC.
This is Radio Freedom.
If you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything.
Come on! Listen!
Planet Earth, Planet Rap. Planet Earth, Planet Rap. Planet Earth, Planet Rap. The only segment show and station in the hip hop world playing the hip hop world. In the hip hop world playing the hip hop world. With Miko and I'm
Hello and welcome to today's edition of PEPR, Planet Earth, Planet Rap podcast series.
Yes, indeed. PEPR part of Chuck D's and You Don't Stop radio show Planet Earth, Planet Rap. For over 11 years, we have been playing hip-hop music from all continents, from around the world. And this is a new thing that we're doing. We're going to be talking to some of our favorites. PEPR is always produced by Gianna Carell.
Yes, indeed. My name is Amkeluan Bekeni Kapanen, and I'm here with you, Mikko Kapanen.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm very good. Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Yes. Finally, we get more insight into the artists that we've been playing for so many years. And isn't that like a something to look forward to?
It is true. The artist that we're having today in the show, in our episode, is actually somebody who has already been sending a couple of voice notes from around the world, as it is our PEPR series. We've been inviting artists to send some of their voice notes to give a little bit of context of the songs that we've been playing in the show. And today's artists have been sending few of those already before, so this is something a little bit deeper now.
Yes, PEPR covers the whole globe, as we all know, so we get to speak to people from all over the globe. And today we are focusing on Brazil.
Yes, absolutely. We have really one of my favorite Brazilian MCs. Now, I've been really listening to quite a bit of Brazilian music recently, but Kamau, he is in our show today, and he's somebody whose music I've really enjoyed, and for quite a few years he's been doing music for a long time.
Yes, he's been in the game since I think 2007, or even 1997. I don't know.
We're gonna find out a lot more about Kamau in this.
He's been in the game for a long enough time, indeed. Yes, and
absolutely.
Is he releasing an album?
He's got a new EP out, so we're probably going to talk a little bit about that and you know, a little bit about his place in the Brazilian hip-hop.
And in the globe, the global stage, as it were. Seeing as though we are PEPR, Planet Earth, Planet Rap, we cover all the spaces.
Yes, absolutely. So, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking to Kamau. We're getting that interview just now. Hope you enjoy it.
PEPR.
Brazil is not that, like, it's kind of opening up, but I'm not in a rush to do live shows and shit. But we are promoting it. I'm not good at it, and I'm independent, but I'm not really good at promoting myself. I don't even like send the links to people and stuff like that, but we are still promoting it. We have a collab with a skateboarding brand that my friends work with, and we're promoting that merch, promoting the music as well, and we're getting a video ready for soon to be released soon. But the guy I work with that I released the EP with is not here right now because he went to another city for his daughter's birthday. And we're trying to work like that. But I'm not going out. I'm not really going out besides like going to see my parents or a little bit of digging and grocery shopping. But besides that, not much.
So you're actually socially distancing still?
Yeah. I think I was already doing that before the pandemic because I was in the studio 24/7, and when it hit, I was like, the guy that owns the studio, because this is not my house, the guy that owns the place, he said, I don't want no one working in the studio because I don't want no one like uh, walking around and trying to get to the virus or stuff like that.
Spreading the virus around carelessly.
Or spreading or getting it. So I said, if I stay here, can I? He said, if you figure out a way, yeah. And he's listening to us like right now.
So anyway, I wanted to ask you about that now you were saying that the kind of universe is aligned with your personality with the social distancing, if that's what you're saying, that you were already social distancing before the pandemic. But how is it like you've been releasing albums and projects for many years? How is it then trying to promote, trying to make people aware of your things if it's something that really doesn't come naturally at all?
I have some friends that I work with, a publicist or some other friends that work with that per se properly, but I've been like building my reputation around before social media and all that.
Yes.
So I'm kind of known, quote unquote, but I got a name and my social media got like decent numbers. So whenever I post something, it kind of goes. I'm not like used to that, but I try to. I always try to. And I got a booking agent that sells my shows, and that's the only. I'm independent. I've been independent since my beginning. So the booking agent, they work for me, like try to sell my gigs.
Yeah.
But I've been walking around. The pandemic, like I've been social distancing, but every now and then I like go skateboarding or go record shopping, meet some friends, and I'm always at my friends' shows whenever I'm not working. So I'm not like really unseen like Quasimodo.
You are the PR for your work.
Character.
Yeah.
And when was the beginning, Kamau? You've been independent since the beginning, you said. When was the beginning for you with hip-hop?
My beginning was 97.
Ah, yes, that's what I said to him. Yes.
Because 97.
And you mentioned skateboarding.
Yeah, I've been skateboarding since 88 and been rapping officially since 97.
And what's
Because
the connection?
in Brazil, we're not like the rap culture for us is not like that. We are introduced to it in like 8 years old, 7, like early ages. So in our early teens, we got introduced to it, and some people like jump straight into it, like, yeah, I want to rap. I took my time because I respected the culture so much. I never thought I would be a rapper, but music taught me the English that I know, the word that I know. So I'm glad that music and skateboarding took me around, even when not leaving Sao Paulo.
Yes.
Because I was like seeing skateboarding happening in California, seeing rap happening, hip hop happening in New York or in California as well, and I started to like see myself there without being there.
It's a funny one, the skateboarding, because it doesn't really have like an official link to hip hop as such, but it's very close to it, and it's kind of one of those almost like an unofficial kind of element somehow.
Yeah.
But to you, it was that was your gateway, I suppose, then to the hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah, because the friend that introduced me to hip hop, as I know, I met him through skateboarding.
So what is it that attracted you to hip hop as a skateboarder?
The music first, and then the vibe. When I started to know what the lyrics were saying, I was like, yeah, that's me. They're talking about me in a way. But I was lucky to this friend that I told you about. His older brother, has a group, and it happened to become the biggest hip hop act in Brazil, Racionais MCs. So I
Nice.
was there when their first songs were placed in a compilation. I was there at their house. Like his older brother, that is a mentor to me and a friend and an older brother to me as well. He got home and said, "We got the name for the compilation, Black Conscious. How does that sound? Is that good?" And I was 12 and I was like, "That sounds like something."
Yes.
And
And
yeah,
from there, I got to the word as I know, and he was the one that gave me the spark to start rapping because we were coming back from a club one night. We live all close to each other.
Yeah.
He was like, "Why don't you rap?" I said, "Why?" Because you're listening to the lyrics from the American guys, the Brazilian guys, and you're rapping along. I think you got the way to do it. I was like, "No, I'll never be able to do things on the quality of the rap that I like." That's how I approached it.
yeah.
So I still trying to. I'm still trying to get to the Midnight Marauders level.
It's a work in progress. That's really special. But it's also one of the important things is that what you had was a kind of a role model in your friend's older brother who was showing that it's possible. So it wasn't like something that you didn't have to invent the wheel in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a DJ, and I was like seeing everyone passing through his house, like getting the guys from his group, Racionais, and guys from other groups that looked up to him and went there like to get like advices or just to rehearse or just to listen to music or hang out. So I was meeting all kinds of people that were already living the hip hop life.
So you were immersed in it. You were exposed to it even before you knew that you had a place in it. When did you find your voice? When did you express through your own voice?
It was around 96 when he first asked me that question. And since I was friends with his brother, he gave me the idea of putting together a group with him, his brother that is a DJ, and another friend. So I was bugging him like, "Yeah, let's make this happen. Let's get together and write and record and all that." And they were like, "I don't think so," because they were about to get in a group with another guy.
Right.
They would become a group, and I was the new one. I was their friend, but I didn't rap or anything, so they didn't like thought I could do it.
Or they hadn't
And
seen you do it yet.
yeah, neither did I. I did like when I was 15. I did something at school, but
Yeah.
that was it. And I was like, I wasn't like serious, so I was bugging them, but they didn't see me doing it, and like they didn't see me like rapping or writing or anything. But I wanted them to start that with me. So one night we were at the DJ's house, and I wrote something to the group home intro. Dun, 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 dun. I can't say the sample. Can't sample snitch, but that's how much I respect the culture.
Yeah.
Nice one.
And when I wrote to that, they were like, I was like, yeah, that will be our group's name, Consequência, Consequence. And they were like, he's got it all figured out, so why not? Because the other guy vanished from us. Like he went away from us, and we didn't know what happened to him. He was about to become a father, and we didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he disappeared for a while. And when he came back, we were already like making stuff happen. And from that moment, things kind of worked in our favor because 97 we had our first show. It was a small one. No one there was a few people in the crowd, and we were like just rapping one song, performing one song in a group's set, in another group set. The second one, I remember it was August 23rd, 97. Second one, when I was leaving my house, I had a VHS camera, the small one. My dad said, "Ain't you taking the camera?" Nah, MTV will be there.
You knew this.
Like I said, like it was nothing, but we were the first group to perform on a huge bill that had a lot of big names in Brazil, even Racionais, and we were opening for Taíde DJ that are pioneers from the São Bento scene that is kind of like our Bronx, because it was a subway station that had hip-hop meetings with the B-boys, B-girls, and people rapping and meeting each other. So we were the opening act for them. And then when we got off the stage, MTV came to interview us.
As you
And I
had
was like, oh,
thought.
According to the plan.
yeah. And I was like, oh. So, like 2 years later, two years later, we were like kind of slowing down because I was also at the university studying math. So I was out of town for like every week. Weekdays I would be there. Weekends I'll be here. And the DJ told me, yeah, we were invited to do a show opening for a big group that you like. I was like, okay, who are they? It was De La.
De La Soul.
Oh, they were
2
recently
years
here.
of rapping.
Yeah.
And we were opening for De La Soul.
Nice.
That's really
I've known
amazing.
them since back in the days.
Yeah, yeah. I want to take this is really very fascinating, but I want to take a small kind of sidestep from the music itself now, because I think a lot of the people have a kind of perhaps quite stereotypical idea of Brazil. I mean, even we haven't visited Brazil yet, I want to say, but it's kind of thought about as this, like, samba and footballers, and then they have favelas and whatever, and it's kind of like beaches and things of this nature. But how would you describe like Brazil? Do you think that the public idea of Brazil, is it truthful? Is it
accurate?
Or how is your Brazil? Is it the same as the one that we might see in some videos or whatever?
Not at all. Because when they think of Brazil, they think of samba, beaches, and favelas, because that's the image that they want to sell. That's what is attractive to people. But we kind of have, since I've been able to travel because of music, we have a kind of a New York vibe here in Sao Paulo. Brazil is huge. That's the first thing. I don't know half of half. I've been able to play around, like to play shows around Brazil, but I don't know half of it. And we have the New York vibe in Sao Paulo. We have kind of a Miami vibe in Rio. We don't have an LA vibe per se, but we have a lot of, it's multicultural. Like the North, I've never been there, and it's way different. Where the Amazon is, around the Amazon, there's a lot of stuff that it's so them that it feels like it's another country, but it's us as well. Hey, they come down here to Sao Paulo, and the south closer to, so they're kind of similar to Uruguay. We have a lot of frontier, so Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Venezuela, a lot of places touch in Brazil that they merge on the frontiers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to know about Brazil that people don't know. And I still have to know more about Brazil because I've been in Sao Paulo. So Sao Paulo people doesn't have to go somewhere to make it. So when we make it, we go somewhere. We to go somewhere to make it. So we kind of stay here. And I have to explore more and know more about Brazil. I'm aware of that.
Yes, and I was gonna say, since you rap primarily in Portuguese, you probably tell the story of your Brazil. What is the content of your message? Because for us, it's quite intriguing because on the outside looking in, we receive your music. But since we don't speak or understand Portuguese, it's very interesting to us to know what is your core message? What is the content of your message?
Yeah. One thing that I noticed when I started to understand the lyrics is that sometimes people took me to their place and I saw similarities with the place that I live in. So when we hear New York State of Mind, we think of Nas, New York. And I think I can relate to that in a sense, in a level, but on the Brazil way and the Sao Paulo way. But there are people that only talk about them, not really their environment and all that, like describing or pointing fingers and like spreading like PE. PE is a huge influence because of their words and like their call to bear arms and all that. But people talk about themselves, so I'm more into that message, like the way I live, how I see things, and I try to speak from experience. So someone that relates to that, regardless of the place that they're in, they can take something out of it. It's not like this is the way that you got to do, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and this is the place that I live in. Some people that live in the same place as I live, they'll say, yeah, that's it. And what else? What can we do? So I said, I'm doing this. So, yeah, I think I can do that as well. Or I live like this. Oh, I live like this too. And I live the same situation, and I can try your way to get out of that situation. So that is my message. I don't have like a straight message like this is what I talk about in my music. So I talk about my life.
Your life is your message, like
Yeah.
Gandhi. Yeah.
It's
Sometimes
interesting.
it's not that interesting, but some people
No,
relate to it.
I think it is.
I think it's an interesting idea that you can kind of like relate to something in a very specific way. So if you are from that city, or like if you're listening to music from London, if that's where you're from, then you can say, oh, I know that street corner, whatever, or New York, or Sao Paulo, or Helsinki, where we are. But at the same time, you can just kind of like take something there that matches your experience, or that it makes you feel like something, and then you can kind of like pick and mix the kind of things that what is the meaning to you. It's not necessarily the meaning that it was intended, but it's something that what it means to you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because it's
I sample it.
yes.
Yeah, that's a very nice way of doing it. Nice way of putting it.
Yes.
So we were we were watching some time ago the from Netflix, the documentary about emcee, that was there, and I know that he's somebody who you have been, he's well, you can tell more about him to the people who don't know, but he's quite a big deal, of course, also in the Brazilian scene. But what was so fascinating is that, because, and I never really thought about it much, but Brazil has got such a huge huge musical legacy, and there's samba, and there's bossa nova, there's various different kind of things, and how he had been like combining them in the music. Do you feel like, and not necessarily that specific example, but do you think that Brazilian hip hop is specifically Brazilian? Of course, there are many different, there's not one way of being Brazilian, and there's not one way of Brazilian hip hop and rap to be, but do you think that the Brazilianness can be heard from the Brazilian music?
I think more in the lyrics sometimes. I was talking to a friend, an American friend, about Brazilian samples that I didn't even knew about before, like K Tornado sampled them or Madlib. We can listen to the Brazilianness, like the Brazilian way of making our hip hop, because I think Chuck D said that Brazil had a way to preserve something that was way lost in the U.S. And like, since we learned from primarily Public Enemy and the N.W.A. in our beginning, not the beginning, but it was something that influenced us a lot. We still preserve it, but we have our way of doing it. Like, we get into hip hop samples, like emcee, he searches for the next sound, but the way back sound as well. So on that documentary and the show, a friend of ours, Shoku, he was the researcher for all the historical facts. And that place where he performed, it was not like, we were not able to just get to that place and see a hip hop show. He was the first one. That was when I went to that show. It was my second time there, because the first one was a listening party for Sabotage. That is a rapper that we lost like 19 years ago, 03. And I passed through that building all the time because I skateboard around there. The record shops are around there. It's downtown São Paulo. But we were not able to get to that place. And he took the risk to take us there. And it's like, emcee is a friend. The booking agency that I told you about, he owns them. Laboratório Fantasma is their label and the booking office. And he's a friend that came. I saw him like get into places. I met him back in 04, 05. And I took him places. I know that. I know that as a fact. Like, I took him to the big shows I had. And like Digital Underground did with Tupac, I did that with him.
Yeah.
And we're still together. And I see me when I see him on the screen. When I see him on the cover of GQ, or on the talk show that he's like kind of hosting weekly in Brazil.
Wow.
That's
but the
beautiful.
Brazilianness, it's in our way of saying stuff, in the stuff that we see, not just in the music. Just because we don't have that much of we can't like really sample our music. We don't have access to musicians and can't afford musicians, so we're still, a lot of us still like making it the old-fashioned way, like samples and all that. We know some musicians that grew up listening to hip-hop, and we can try to incorporate them now to our music, but it's kind of becoming a usual to us. Mm-hmm. And emcee, since he gained a little more power, so he can do that. Like, he can bring Marcos Valle to a song. People are sampling Marcos Valle, but Marcos Valle is still alive, so he went to Marcos Valle and got him to play with him.
And how did you feel? How did you feel like if you are kind of like his like older brother figure in a way that you were taking him around and now he's been doing all these different things and also internationally been featured in a few different places. Is it it's like a proud thing for you to see that happening, or how are you feeling?
I'm proud. I'm really proud. I see him go in places that I wouldn't, and I'm proud of him for that, because some places I wouldn't go and some places I thought I couldn't reach. And I'm proud of him regardless, because I saw where he came from and where he's at now. So I'm definitely proud. When we were like 15 years ago, I was telling them like a coach, like, when you're there, we are there. You are us there. That's a phrase that we coined. Like, I told them, and they still carry it, because Hashid is also a big name here that is always with him on places, and we are also on the same booking agency. And when I see him doing big stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
That's me there.
That's beautiful.
We in South Africa, we've got this philosophy or principle which is called Ubuntu. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like the spirit of Ubuntu.
I heard about it because of emcee.
Yes, exactly. So as you speak, I recognize the spirit of Ubuntu, which essentially says, I am because you are. You are. And you said that you see yourself in his journey, and you see yourself when you see him do the things that he does. I thought that's so interesting, because although we live like far apart geographically speaking, the principles are not too dissimilar, because we subscribe to Ubuntu just like Buddhism subscribes to interbeingness,
That connection actually.
And Ubuntu it's a term that emcee tried to bring to the public, the general public. So he wrote that through shirts and through all his stuff, and he explained the meaning of it. So
Wonderful.
I coined that phrase way before he knew about Ubuntu.
Yeah.
But I think when he found out about it, he was like, yeah, that was he was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
How is it? It's also interesting thing, and now that we're kind of making the connection also between Brazil and the African continent and that, but you are there in the amongst the Spanish speaking people in the South America. The other countries are Spanish speaking, and then you have these other Portuguese speaking countries, for instance, like Mozambique or Angola, so on and so forth, of course, Portugal itself. Do you have like specific connections to those places? Are there of interest, or do you collaborate with people from these places? How is it working with the language, or is it something that language is sort of like not that central thing?
It's so crazy that the Portuguese that we speak here is so far apart from Portugal and Mozambique and Angola. It's crazy, but it's of course it's similar, but we sometimes think like we are not speaking the same language. I've been to Portugal 2018. That was my first time there, and I love the people, the hip hop people in Portugal. The place, I was like, yeah, I see where they got, like, they try to bring Portugal to Brazil. When you go to Bahia, when you go to Salvador, you see exactly that. They wanted to feel at home in Brazil.
You just saw history.
Yeah, they built stuff the same way that is in Portugal. But besides
How did that make you feel?
weird.
Don't I know it?
It does sound very South African experience as well. I mean, I also have lived there for
I know.
for a couple of years, so it does sound exactly precisely how it would be there.
Yeah. When you first came to South Africa, or at least to the small town where my mom lives, you were like, it looks very colonial.
Yeah.
That's the
But
case.
the people there, I can relate to them, and like I want to collaborate with more people from Portugal since one of my main inspirations in Portuguese is a guy named Sam the Kid. That
Yeah.
is the biggest act in Portugal. We connected. We're trying to build stuff together. But I have also connections in. I know I have fans in Angola, and I recently released a song with an MC named CFK,
Okay.
like CFK,
Yeah.
and we're trying to build more. Like I have some connections in Mozambique as well, and I want to get there. I want to get to Angola. I want to get to Mozambique, and try to build way more with the people there. But I know that they're aware of what we do here in Brazil,
Yes.
and we're connected. There's a guy named DJ Kaiki. He worked with some guys from Angola. That is crazy. When I was in Portugal, I was like in a place like looking for the sunset, looking to the sunset, just seeing the sunset. My friend was, my cousin was showing me the place and said, "Yeah, the sunset here is so beautiful." And a guy approached us to sell stuff,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, I figured out you're Brazilian and music here and da da da, and I do this and da 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 da." I was like, "Yeah, do you know?" And he started to state his facts about rapping in Brazil, and I was like, "Huh?" And he was like wrong in a lot of them. And I said, "Yeah, that was not it. That was not it. That was not the year." Then he asked my cousin's name. Then he asked me my name, and I said, "Kamau," and I said, "Kamau? Yo, you're the shit!" Like, but you gotta work on videos, man, because if I knew you more from the videos, I would recognize you right on the spot. But you don't put your face out there that much. He was from Cabo Verde.
Okay. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
A
it
good
was
note.
weird that he recognized my name and he knew stuff about me. He knew stuff about me, but he didn't know it was me.
Yeah.
That's a good note, right?
Yeah.
Did you change?
Of course.
Did you change how you do videos after that?
Kinda.
That was a
I
powerful
bought more
moment.
cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us.
It became a joke. It became a joke. Even my dad, like, he said it. He was like, "Tu és fudido." And my dad, he like, "Kamau, tu és fudido." Every time.
It's like a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like thinking about the language factor because I am from South Africa and we have 11 official languages. So most of our expression in our own indigenous languages is going to be quite diverse, but somehow in the country everybody understands, or there's a big chunk of people that understands the majority of the languages. For you, being a person who performs primarily in Portuguese, how is your work received in non-Portuguese speaking spaces? Read English spaces.
Yeah. The first time I performed outside of Brazil, it was Barcelona. And we were like, sold to the festival as a Brazilian act, not really a hip hop act, but a Brazilian act with a hip hop feel. So we had a full band with percussion and guitar and drums and all that. And I was like a member of the band. So it was well received because of the package. When I got to my second trip outside of Brazil, it was France. And I've been speaking English since I was 13. So I'm comfortable with English. I'm like comfortable when I'm like, sometimes not that comfortable sometimes, but I'm comfortable. But in Paris, they told me, don't speak English. They don't like it. They'd rather get you speaking Portuguese or trying to speak wrong French than approaching them in English. Because no, that's not what we do. People told me that. So I was like, yeah, let me try to learn a phrase or two in French and throw that in the show. So when I did that, I got the crowd.
Nice.
And they got the vibe, the whole vibe, way more than in Spain. Because in Spain, it was a big festival. In Paris, it was a smaller one, but we were the only show that night. So we were not like lost in the crowd and in the mix. And when I threw that phrase, like
Connection.
for a song that I have, they were like, yeah, they approached me speaking French, like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I said, je n'ai parlé.
There are limits, you know.
Yeah, je n'ai parlé. Oh, you rather speak English? I said, yeah. And we started speaking English, and there we were talking.
But you didn't lead with English.
Yeah, but I never really performed in a place where they speak mainly. Yeah, I did shows in London. I forgot about it. But in London, we were also part of a kind of a festival. We had a show with English acts and Brazilian acts, and the main event was Seu Jorge, so it's a bigger name, and straight samba. So we were like in the mix, but I think they feel the vibe of it. Sometimes they ask me what I'm talking about. Like I have every Friday we have a meeting that is called Session In, with a lot of producers from around the world, and every time they hear my stuff, they're like, yeah, I don't know what the hell you're saying, but it sounds good.
Yes.
And they ask me, what are you talking about?
Yes.
So I think it translates in a sense.
Yes.
It makes them feel like I felt when I first heard rapping in English, because it made me want to know.
You.
Yeah, it made me want to know. It spoke to me, but I didn't understand at first. So it made me want to know if they ask me what I'm saying. So I made them want to know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I spoke to him in a sense.
Yes.
It's like we are of course in PEPR, what we're doing, we've been playing music in so many different languages, and of course, I mean, it's very limited amount of languages that we can realistically speak or understand, and we're all the time playing music that we don't understand, and sometimes people are like asking, how do you know what they're saying then? But you just feel it, like, and sometimes they can be that maybe you are even experiencing, like we were talking about it, how you put your own meaning to it, and to you it means something else, and maybe you are completely misunderstanding the whole thing, and it might be like a terrible violent song, but you are like, no, this is such a feel-good song. But the thing is that but you still like feel like that's the crazy thing about that like you kind of get like the idea.
That Fuji's interlude where I think White Clef is singing, na na na, motherfucker. And it's, yeah.
It sounds so beautiful, no?
Like D'Angelo has a song that's named Shit Them Motherfucker.
Yeah.
And some people that don't understand at all, they're like,
just sing.
Hey, they say when words fail, music speaks. So I think there is a language, there's resonance. We just respond to what resonates. So because music is vibration, it connects when it connects. So yeah, it makes sense. Otherwise, we couldn't do PEPR because we'd be limited to only the languages that you and I know and not the languages that exist in the world.
And it also has to be said that sometimes, especially when you talk about the more sort of mainstream stuff, is that you wish you didn't understand the lyrics, that you that it would be better if you could just enjoy the music without knowing what kind of foolishness it is about.
Back in the day when I started learning more, and I knew a little bit more than my friends, and they were like, "What is NWA saying? What is Wu-Tang saying?" And sometimes it doesn't even make sense.
Aye.
And I was trying to explain them. I was like, yeah, it's just like, they're just rapping. It's not entertainment. Yeah, okay. That was my way of explaining them.
Just feel it.
Yeah, feel it.
Go with
Like,
the feeling.
There's two songs that I remember that when it plays in Brazil, is like, I'll look around and we're like, damn, I wish you understood what you're singing about. There's that, this one is a good one, the Destiny Child song, Independent Women, because all the men with the hands up, like, all the women and the other one is the Big Pun song.
Maybe they are progressive men.
Yeah, I wish. It's not like they're throwing their hands up in the club and like doing bad stuff. And the other one, that is the weirdest one. It doesn't happen that much now. I think it happens now, but they're kind of aware of it. But that Big Pun song, my dick, my dick, my dick, my dick, my dick, and the girls all singing it.
Dear God.
That it reminds it reminds me of when I was young and there was like some slow dancing in some bar or wherever, and they were playing the Celine Dion song that the man was very passionately singing to his girlfriend, that I'm your lady and you're my man, and it's just a very, I mean, these days, you have a lot more sort of like gray areas, but I think at the time they were not that much ahead of their time.
Yeah. But language matters, but I think because we're dealing with music, which is a language on its own, and hip hop, which is music in its own way, it kind of is received in a way that the receiver interprets subjectively, and therefore it never is a problem. I don't think the language is a thing that will stop you from listening to something beautiful, something that moves you. At least it hasn't stopped us. Yeah. And about your latest EP, ISO, can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't get to look up ISO. What does ISO mean?
ISO is it.
It?
Yeah.
Nice.
This. Okay. It or this. And the name of the duo that I have with my friend is Skit. Skit is a bridge between songs, in between songs. It kind of like clear your mind from the previous one and prepare you for the next one, or connects them. And we are individual acts, we are solo acts, but we work in the same place. And his name is Slim, and mine is Kamau. So S-K, it. It's just it. That's what it is. That's how I came up with the name. And ISO is just that. Like, what we have now is this. So listen to this.
Yeah.
This. Understand this.
Nice.
Feel this. That's why we got the name.
Okay, and how long has it been out there? It's quite a recent release, that one.
Yeah, since January 21st.
Okay. So as we are recording, it's couple of weeks, and is it how is it working in Brazil? Are there radio stations that are playing hip hop, or are there radio stations that are? Is it more like a pop stations or mainstream stations, or what kind of a radio scene do you have? Is radio still relevant in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, more in general?
Radio's still relevant because they get to people without them looking for it. Like you just turn on the radio and the music gets to you. But me personally, I don't like go and try to listen to something on the radio anymore because I'm in the studio every day. So I'm like listening to my music, the music that I'm sampling, the music that I like and I want to use as a reference. So I'm surrounded by music. And people have like songs on their cell phones, but radio still speaks volumes when it comes to music and the people. So there are some friends that are playing on the radio, on the pop radios, and they still have that payola happening, and record labels still have a big chunk of that market. But I think we have some radio shows that still love the good music, and not because they play my music, but they play music that I like, and they reach out to me and say, "Do you have anything new? Do you have something that I can play? I love your stuff." And we have like some radios. We don't have like college radios and all that, but we have some community radios that have a smaller reach but still play rap music. We had kind of pirate radios back in the day, and most of them died out. But sometimes we get space on the radio. Nowadays, hip hop is kind of more on the radio, but our version of country music is dominating airwaves. Like
really?
It's everywhere.
Like a Brazilian country music.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't see that coming. I've only been like aware of
The way I can translate is country music. It's not really country, but they look up to the country music from the US.
Yeah.
And it's our way of doing it. Like it's pop music, but in a on boots and
in a country kind of way. Okay. Okay, I've been just aware of I think do you call it funk, the kind of baile funk, or what is it called?
Yeah. Funk is related to this kind of country music now because funk is getting a lot of airwaves, and like Anita is a big name, but there are some other names. Trap is close to funk now, so trap is also being merged into that melting pot that is like trap, that is a more not dangerous hip hop to them. It's a not dangerous version of hip hop, like a dominated version. Like, yeah, okay, so we can play that. We can curse, and we can merge that with the funk, with the country, and with the funk, and we can try because the BPMs are similar, and they try to get the same subjects around the music. So my girl left me, I have money, and shake all in the same.
How do you see the future of Brazilian hip hop? Do you think that is it like going to maybe merge more into the way that things are everywhere, or does it have an identity of its own? Of course, now whenever we're talking about things like this, we have to accept that there's many different types. There's not one Brazilian hip hop. There's many different types of it. But how do you see the future for the hip hop scene in there, broadly speaking?
We're getting stronger, for sure. We here had a time where we were totally hooked to the industry, and there was those small labels that exploited the artists and still have their catalog kind of like what happened in a lot of places, even with Dayline, Tommy Boy, and all that, and people still have like trouble with Rockers or who else, Baby Grande, or. But we, since my generation took the power on our own hands, and we started to do stuff on our own, and people that learned from us, they started to do things on their own, and the labels got interest into it, and so the labels are kind of working for them. And after that, people got back to signing to labels. So it's going back to the way it were before, but with I think in Brazil will get stronger because we are more on a professional level now. Even the people that work independent, they're getting to a professional level. And even me that don't know how to promote myself, I'm way more professional than I was when I was 21. So I work in a professional level by myself. People are working on a professional level, and they're becoming like their own brand. And the brands are working. Some of them still are. I still think that the subject matter is important. Some of them think the numbers are important, and I think we have a good path ahead of us, and we're getting there stronger than we were before. Because some of this trend will die down, but the core will remain. Like a lot of people from my generation, they stepped out and they're looking from afar and saying, "Yeah, that stuff is corny. I did that back in the day," and da da da. But they're not into it anymore because they have some other stuff to do with their life and some family stuff to deal with. But some of us are resisting because we do what we think is the true school. So
Yes.
the true school still remains. The true school still learning and teaching.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how would you describe yourself to somebody who is, for instance, perhaps listening to this for the first time or hearing from you for the first time? What kind of hip hop artist would you describe yourself as?
That's hard. That's a hard question. Uh, I'm humble but true one. Uh, I try to remain close to my truth as much as possible, and it's not that I don't want to explore or reach and achieve other places, but I stay true to my roots. What my teachers taught me, and try to pass that to the next generation because I think it's it's in, it's in our blood, really. It's in like we came from the same place, so that's how we learn to do stuff.
Yes.